So today I'm here with Rylan Holey, who is the EMEA Partner Manager at Hootsuite. And Rylan, you're sitting in the UK now and you're working with solution partners like us.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, Joachim, nice to be here and great to be a part of this. That's right, I'm based in London in the EMEA HQ for Hootsuite and been here for 2.5 years now, which makes me a bit of a dinosaur in Hootsuite age. Yes, been working with SCRM Cloud for I think nearly around 2 years now. So we've done some great stuff together, and my job is to help our friends like Joachim to be able to offer services and build solutions around Hootsuite for his clients.
Exactly. And for those listening in who don't know what Hootsuite is, it's a social media management system. What would the elevator pitch for Hootsuite be?
So my one is, it's always very different across Hootsuite and how people describe it, obviously. However, I'll give you my one. So the way I describe Hootsuite is as an infrastructure for social in the business. So what we're able to do is help organizations scale social across the organization, really create an impact on the bottom line of a business. So really looking at what a business is trying to achieve and how can social be a part of that. And so for Hootsuite, we can allow organizations to measure, to engage, to publish, and turn every message out there on social into something meaningful.
Yeah. And a question I get as a solution partner quite a lot of times, and I would like to see how you would answer it, is why do brands and organizations, for that sake as well, why do they need a social media management tool?
So it's a very hard question, and it's a very good question. I think there's
can they live without them?
Yeah, can they live without them? Well, potentially yes, and potentially not. I mean, it kind of depends on the use cases. So there's a lot of different organizations out there that have a variety of requirements that will mean that they need to have a social media management system, and those can typically be in, let's say, the regulated industry. So if you're working in pharmaceuticals and drinks, in financial services, those industries in particular you're under scrutiny from regulators, and because of that, we have a solution which means that you can ensure that your posts and messages which go out aren't going to be, you're not going to get fined for them, basically. Also, if you're looking at, maybe give a background on myself and why I sort of bought an enterprise solution for the place I worked at. So I used to work in a law firm in the city of London, formerly called FJ Bowen and now called Kingwood Mallisons, and very large firm. And what I realized there was that as a social media manager or a digital marketing manager at the time, I needed to be able to scale out social across the organization. I needed to be able to measure, have some degree of control. And the only way I could do that and to ensure that the business was going to have decreased amounts of risk, but also more value, was to be able to look into purchasing a social media management tool. And what that allowed me to do was to still have some control, but to empower other people to do what they need to do. Also ensure that in terms of risk, we have a lot less chances of passwords being stolen or hacked. And also we can put in measures to make sure that messages don't go out without being checked by the risk team if necessary.
So with risks, you're meaning that you have this central platform where you connect all your social media channels. It's only one person that can connect them and then give access to a wide range of employees, but who do not need to access login details or other sensitive information.
Exactly, that's correct. And there have been many examples in the past of accounts being hacked. Just to name a few, if you look at HMV, which is unfortunately they're struggling as a business anyway, or their business has changed quite a lot. But there was a time when they were going through a series of redundancies at the head office in London. Yeah. And there was one tweeter who was the digital marketing person, and she started doing a live X Factor style firing from the Twitter account of HMV, and she was live tweeting everything, all the redundancies, and there was the best moment when she quoted the marketing director of HMV saying, "How do I turn off the Twitter?" So for social, you do need to consider it like a core business technology and infrastructure, because you need to have all these policies, technologies, and solutions in place to make sure that you can ensure that you aren't going to be at that kind of risk of any sort of hacking. And actually, aside from that, though, so you had the risk side of it, but then there's also the other side of being if you in any business, you want to make sure that you're agile. You want to make sure that you have efficiencies, and you want to make sure that you're able to measure what you're doing. So with a management tool, which can combine all of your social networks into one place, that will already and collaborate between your colleagues and break down those silos. You're able to do that using tools like solutions like Hootsuite. And also then, if you look at other things such as the measurement as well, as discussed, as I'm sure we're going to discuss more, you want to really look at what KPIs your business is trying to achieve. And for you as a social media person, you want to show the business the value of what you're doing. And the best way to do that is to, show statistics. So how much revenue is social media generated, or what share of voice have we managed to get? What's the sentiment, or what are people thinking about online and on social about our business? Or how are we treating our customers, basically? And what's our net promoter score out there? So with a social media management tool, you're able to capture a lot more information and be able to scale that out across the organization and break down a lot of those silos, and be able to show that value to the senior management that may not believe in it.
Is it fair to say that the problem a social media management tool is solving is that it's just very difficult to manage a lot of social media profiles across Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, whatever it may be, and across a team or many teams, or potentially a global organization? If you would do that,
I think
by individual and profile by profile without having any kind of connecting platform, it would just be extremely difficult.
Yes, it can be extremely difficult, and it's about efficiency and measurement, as discussed already. And what I would also say is that there, across the organization. So one of the things that we see at Hootsuite is that social is no longer just part of the marketing department anymore, which is where it kind of traditionally came from. So if you paint a picture of where social came from, so we have the marketing department, which was typically you have a social media manager, like myself or yourself. I believe you're one of them before as well. And in that kind of situation, you are looking at that kind of problem where you've got lots of different networks and you can't kind of control everything in one place. You're spending a lot of time going to everything else, and there's no consistent measurement across it. The second thing that's kind of happened was that suddenly we had small teams start to develop in organizations. So it might be the marketing team has suddenly got 4 people doing social media, you might have some community managers. But then you might start to see other departments coming in as well, where you have HR, or you would have customer service coming in doing social, but all very siloed. But each of those different areas has different problems and different use cases. So they wouldn't have potentially the same problem in customer services around managing multiple channels. What their problems will be is more, how do we listen to the conversations? How do we take those people and meet our SLAs so that we're responding to questions in enough time? And then how do we make sure we turn those detractors into positive people for our brand? So then we have those kind of use cases, which is completely different to the use case you might see in marketing. And now what we're seeing is the interconnection between all of those different departments, and where you want to make sure that the customer services team are aligned with the marketing team, so that the marketing team, let's say they see a message which actually should be sent to customer services, that doesn't have to go through email, that doesn't have to go through a big laborious process. It can just be assigned to that person, and then from there it can all be measured. And likewise with HR, you want to tie in maybe your employee branding into your social, because that's a huge piece of graduate recruitment, for example, social recruitment. You really want to tie all of this into one sort of system so that you can measure across everything and see what's working effectively. So in answer to your question, that's correct. There is some of that use case, but then I think it changes across the organization, across the departments, and it's going to be changing ever more as we see social expand across an organization.
And I think we look at as well how the different social media maturity within an organization as well. You mentioned most often social media sort of start out in the marketing sales department, maybe a lonely social media manager doing his job in the corner of the office, and then slowly it grows.
Yeah.
How do you think companies and organizations should move up the maturity ladder? Slowly installing social media within more organizations, and how should that be managed or governed? So should that come from the C-level? Should that be a task force? Should it be a head of social media that sort of reports into all organizations? What do you see when you into Hootsuite?
So there are several areas where I see this changing, and it's been quite interesting to sort of witness a lot of it. And we're quite lucky at Hootsuite. We're already a social organization. But what was interesting actually when I joined Hootsuite was my Hootsuite account was allocated to me from the IT team. So straight away we're embedded in the infrastructure of the organization here. No, that was 2.5 years ago. Maybe it's changed now. I'm not sure who's handing out the Hootsuite internal Hootsuite licenses. But if we look at an organization from outside, if we look at those social media managers, I was talking with I think it was another ISV recently. I think it might have been the guys at Brandwatch actually, and we were talking about how it's been interesting to see how social media people have changed in an organization. When they started, it's typically that they're quite junior, they don't have too much experience around working in social, and suddenly they have this massive acceleration in an organization to being people who are having strategic conversations and making wide business decisions across different departments and organizations, because social is now being seen in an organization as something which nearly every part of the business needs to have some action or strategy around. So you see that rise maybe from the bottom up, but then also what we're seeing is the top down, where you're looking at the C-suite changing a bit. So firstly, we're seeing IT being more involved with social nowadays. So a lot of the discussions that we have with Hootsuite come from IT departments as they see that they need to have some infrastructure for social in the business. We're also seeing the rise of the CDO, who the Chief Digital Officer. And their aim is to embed digital best practice across an organization. And with that kind of person, it's not only just about the technology which they need to have and they need to buy. It's also about the education and the transformation of the business. So for that, you're looking at ensuring that you have the ability to empower potentially your entire workforce on social and digital in general. And to do that, that needs to have C-level buy-in, and it has to have a business transformation buy-in as well. So you're looking at massive, structural and infrastructure changes in business, and that has to come from the C-suite, as well as the people who are coming from social media or your digital marketing managers, the more practitioner level, who are able to really advocate for the change from a bottom-up perspective. So the answer to your question is, I think it's becoming just an infrastructure. Potentially social will sit across the organization. I think very down the line, we're going to see it more like email, where IT own a lot of it. But I think that doesn't mean, though, that other departments will not be as influential around social. If you look at IT now, customer service is using email. Sorry, if you look at email now, customer service is using email for customer complaints, queries, and they have their own strategies. So does marketing, for example, who have their own strategies around ensuring that they're measuring and sending out messages on email which make a difference to their customers. So
I think you were spot on when you said that social media has its place within any department in organization potentially. We just need to find the right use cases. Another discussion that often comes up speaking to prospective clients is the discussion between an all-in-one social media suite versus point solutions, and all-in-one meaning, you know, the likes of Salesforce, Social Studio, Adobe's stuff, Sprinklr, these tools promising to do everything social, everything from publishing, engagement, listening, maybe advertising as well. And then more to point solutions, which we are working with, you know, Hootsuite, Brandwatch, the SCRM Cloud, and so on. What's
so
unbiased take on that?
Unbiased take. Okay, so if I put my former hat on, being client-side digital marketer, let's do that. So forget I work at Hootsuite. So if I look at what I was trying to do there, which was to implement a social media solution, what I needed was something that could slot into the business. You know, trying to deliver an all-in-one solution, which we did look at, I think, as well, that would involve, you know, website, digital. Not only did it become extortionately cost prohibitive for us at the time, it also meant that the cycles of development became a lot slower. And the agility was harder because you had to change so much in an organization to be able to get that point that it wasn't worth it. So I think with the cloud, what we've been able to do with Hootsuite being what we call a software as a service solution, and it's cloud based, means that we can so much more easily hook into different systems using APIs and processes. So I knew back then when I bought Hootsuite, was that I could rely on the fact that no matter what department across the organization that ends up using social, we could potentially build a connector to be able to make sure that social was a part of the CRM solution that we had at the law firm, or social was a part of any recruitment systems that we had, or even sales systems. So that meant that we can really see that happen very fast. So I think where I see the differences really is the fact that with what we do at Hootsuite now, so I'm putting my Hootsuite hat back on now, is that we can ensure that we can plug into those existing systems and solutions which you already have in a business. We can also make sure that we are improving our own product continuously without having to focus too much on trying to beat our to try and do something better than, let's say, the likes of Brandwatch. So we know that Brandwatch is a fantastic solution which many organizations are using across the world, and I know that SCRM Cloud are partner with them as well. So with our ecosystem at Hootsuite, we can plug into that and ensure that marketers are using the best of breed tools which are being developed at a fantastic rate. And for us, we can tie into that and ensure that we can build like a 360 solution around social, which ties into what's happening in business already.
It's interesting. Today is the 4th of August, and it's a Tuesday. And I know you told me, hey, we have a really big announcement tomorrow, which is Wednesday.
Exactly.
So we can't say so much about it right now, can we?
We can't say so much about it, unfortunately, but look out for it tomorrow. And if you're tuning into this a bit later, I'm sure we'll put the link into the blog post and the description
so
of the...
Right here. I don't know, I don't know when it's coming out, but it's going to be a link here.
Yeah, and it will be an
announcement that you know what it is. I don't know what it is. I'm super excited. So I'm going to click on this link.
Exactly. Let's do that. But I'm really excited about it. It's for one of the
come on. You can tell us. You can tell me, right?
Well, I'll tell you later. But I'll tell you, it's for one of the biggest social networks out there, and it's going to be a really exciting development for Hootsuite, and also for, most importantly, though, for social media managers who've been crying out for something like this for a while. So we can speak about it again, maybe in a month's time, and when we can look at what's happened since that got announced.
I stopped the broadcast now. Can you tell me what it is?
It's still live. I can still see it.
Rylan, it's been a pleasure having you. Thank you so much for sharing your insights. If people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way?
So either, probably Twitter, actually. So you can find me at Holeytonal, HOLEYTONAL.
Here's the link.
Excellent.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. You have a great day.
Thanks, Joachim.
Bye.
Bye.